Hey love, welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if you're new here. I'm Shaquana and I'm so excited to share this video with you today. This video is different than my style content, my confidence building content, and I'm going to get back to that when I officially come off of maternity leave. But I've been looking forward to sharing this video because in case you missed it, I had a baby. Like, it's still so real for me to say that I'm a mother, and I had a very unexpected and scary birthing experience, but nonetheless it was a miracle. And so I felt led, I felt called to share my story with other women, especially women who look like me, over 35, African American, plus size. I have fibroids. Even though my fibroids didn't really have anything to do with my birthing experience, still I wanted to just share my experience with women who can relate and resonate. And yes, at the end of this video I will be revealing my sweet baby girl Brooklyn to you, so make sure you stay tuned to the very end so you can see the beautiful miracle that God blessed us with. All right, sis, so let's talk about my birthing experience. So like I said, it was about 10 weeks ago. I was 38 weeks pregnant. So on that Thursday of that week, I had my routine prenatal appointment where they, hook me up to the monitor and do the non-stress test, and everything was fine. And Thursday night, I actually noticed that my Braxton Hicks contractions were becoming more frequent and a little bit more intense. But it wasn't necessarily alarming enough for me to be like, oh, maybe I should go to a hospital or call my OB. I just said something to my husband and just thought because I'm coming to the end of my pregnancy, they're just getting more intense and more frequent. So I didn't think too much of it. Friday morning starts off as usual. Actually that Friday, my best friends were coming to town. It's 3 of them. They were coming and traveling here to Georgia to help me with nesting and preparing for baby girl's arrival. And so I was super excited. Friday morning, I'm doing things around the house, trying to get the house situated for our company that was coming that weekend. And I sat down. This is around like 9 a.m., 9:30-ish, when she's usually kicking and very lively and everything. And I sat down and I noticed that she wasn't moving. I'm like, that's unusual. But I said, okay, I'll, see what's going on. I was like, let me eat, because I hadn't eaten at that time. My best friend, she had flew in, and my husband, he works at the airport, so she rode with him here back home, and they had picked up some food. So I was like, okay, well, let me eat and let me see if she moves after that. She didn't, not at all. And by this time it's around like 10 a.m. and 10 a.m. was like her prime time where she's like lit, like she is kicking up a storm, and she wasn't. And I said, okay, something is wrong. I called my OB office. They didn't answer immediately. I left a message. I didn't feel right about waiting until they called back, so I told my best friend and my husband, I said, we need to go to the ER. Something isn't right. I want them to check me out. I want to be safe than sorry. That's like the motto in pregnancy. You rather be safe than sorry. So we get to the hospital. Immediately in the ER, they admit me to the labor and delivery unit at the hospital, and they immediately put me on the monitor. And so I'm in the back room, and we're just, doing business as usual, just monitoring her heart rate. And it was fine until I had a Braxton Hicks contraction. So every time I had one of those, they're like practice contractions, but the Braxton Hicks contraction, her heartbeat would go down like a lot, and that was very concerning for the labor and delivery nurses. I think we monitored around like 3 times or so, and each and every time her heart rate dropped. It was one point where I was so scared because like 5 nurses just came rushing into the room, and I'm like, oh my gosh, is everything okay? So at this point I'm like, something ain't right. Like, this isn't normal. This isn't just a little scare. This is something serious. So I start calling folks. I called my doula, told her what was going on. She started making her way to the hospital. I called my line sisters. One is an OBGYN and the other is a labor and delivery nurse. I was FaceTiming my line sister, who's the labor and delivery nurse. She saw what was going on, like literally on the screen. My OBGYN line sister, she also was was in the know of what's going on. They both were like, yeah, Shaquana, you're not going home without that baby. They're gonna deliver it. So immediately I'm stressing. I'm like, I don't even have everything straight. My friends were actually coming into town today so we can start the nesting and organizing and getting her room straight. I feel unprepared. This isn't supposed to happen. You know, you have this plan, literally a plan, a birth plan in your mind, and it completely can go by the wayside, because whatever that baby wants to happen will happen. So after the nurses were kind of like, okay, something isn't right, the doctor came in. She kind of talked to me about what was going on, and we did what they call a biophysical ultrasound, in which this is the same ultrasound that I would get when I go to my high-risk OB appointment. So I had a regular OB and a high-risk OB, in which honestly I'm glad I did, and I highly recommend if you fall into that high-risk category. So anyway, I had the ultrasound, and what they found in the ultrasound is that my placenta had calcified. I think I'm saying that correctly, but basically it just means that my placenta had aged. Now mind you, I was 38 weeks pregnant, so my placenta should still be, you know, producing the nutrients, the oxygen, the blood that needs to be given to the baby. But when they did the ultrasound, they found that it had aged. And so then at that point the doctor came in and she was like, here are your two options, induction or C-section. At the end of the day, the decision we made was to have a C-section. And the reason why is because, one, I felt like I could protect her more outside the womb than inside. There was some stuff going on in there. I didn't want her in there anymore. I wanted her out. And the quickest and easiest way to get her out was during a C-section. I truly believe she would not have survived an induction birth or induction delivery, because if she wasn't doing well with the practice contractions, the Braxton Hicks contractions, then she wasn't going to be able to go through a whole induction, a whole labor and delivery process. I wasn't going to put her through that. So I said, doctor, cut me open, let's do it. I was totally against a C-section. I think the main reason is because a lot of people say don't do it, like it's a major surgery, which it is, and it has its own risks. But that doesn't mean that it can't still be a beautiful birthing experience. And it still was a beautiful experience for us. So by this time, my doula had got to the hospital. She's like in the waiting room area with my best friend. My husband and I are getting prepped for the C-section. And the plan was for my husband to stay with me in the OR room until my daughter Brooklyn was born, and then he'll go with Brooklyn and the doctors to just, you know, do the test, make sure she's good. And then my doula will come in and kind of replace him as they complete the C-section. That didn't happen. My husband did come, and it's so funny and so beautiful. One thing I'll always remember is we still kind of had that moment where we both zoned out and were like playing music and things and just having a moment to ourselves before becoming parents. And then when she was born, we got to see her. That was really beautiful to me. So even though my birth plan didn't happen exactly how I wanted it to happen, it still very much so was beautiful, and my baby girl came out healthy and thriving. But then on the other hand, after she was born, my husband went with the baby. My doula never came in. I'm like, why isn't my doula here? What's going on? They did not allow my doula to come in because there were quote-unquote issues with myself. So basically what happened was when they cut me open to do the C-section, they found that I had a spontaneous placenta abruption, which is scary, which is crazy for me to comprehend, because I didn't feel any pain or anything that a lot of people feel when they have a placenta abruption. So I didn't find this out until after the C-section was over. A couple hours later, my doula was kind of telling me what was going on. But yeah, I had a placenta abruption. The entire placenta was ripped off of my uterus. My uterus was filled with blood. My baby girl had even swallowed some of my blood. Like, it was just, it's still very hard for me to think about, because to this day I do not know how long she had went without having that placenta, right? That's her life supply. I don't know how long she went without having that, and that's scary to think about, right? But that's why I always say my birthing experience was a miracle. It was nothing but God. There was nothing that a doctor could do. There was nothing that I could do. it was nothing but God that got my baby girl out in time where she's healthy, thriving, beautiful, just everything I could have prayed for and more. Back to the C-section. The reason why it took a little bit longer for me for them to finish completing whatever they needed to complete for me is because they had to get all that blood out and do whatever they needed to do to fix me after my placenta had erupted. After that, went through the normal recovery as far as went back to the room, got to see her. But yeah, that's the birthing experience and that's what happened. And throughout that weekend while I was staying in the hospital, the doctors just kept telling me, they just kept saying, thank you for coming in when you did. We don't know what would have happened if you would have waited. It would have been a different story, etc. I'm thankful to God that he nudged me enough to say, hey, you need to go to the hospital. Something isn't right. And I'm glad that I obeyed and listened, and voila, we have our baby girl here. As far as the rest of the weekend, I cannot express how thankful I am for my friends. So my friends still came. They were like, we still got things to do. So they still came and got her room organized and decorated and just made sure that we literally had everything we needed. Both sets of our parents, so my in-laws and my parents, dropped everything, drove down here and stayed throughout the week. They prepared meals, freezer meals for us, and just made sure we had that support. And so literally when we came home from the hospital, when we walked into the house, we didn't have to worry about anything. Everything was in its place. My friends had the C-section postpartum supplies there for me too. It was, I'm so grateful for our village. And ever since then, both myself and baby girl have been wonderful and just happy and healthy. Of course, I've had my moments because motherhood and parenting, it's a thing, like it's a lot, but it's so rewarding and I'm so happy and just so blessed. So if I had to take away anything from this experience, one, like I said at the beginning, my birthing story, it was traumatic. I'm not going to sugarcoat it, but I don't want to label it as that. I'm labeling it as a miracle. After we got home, I was filled with so much anxiety because all I kept thinking about is the what ifs. What if I hadn't got to the hospital at that time? What if I had waited? Like, she wouldn't be here. And I keep thinking about what that would be like if the outcome was the opposite and how that would affect me. And I had so much anxiety, and thank God I had a therapy session already scheduled for like a couple of days after we came home. And that therapy session, she really helped me release a lot of that anxiety. And what I realized is those what if questions that I was asking myself was just the enemy. The enemy was trying to distract me from this beautiful moment of me becoming a mother. So once I realized that, I released the anxiety, I gave the enemy permission to leave, and ever since then I've just been so full with so much joy and peace about having my baby girl here. The second takeaway would be that God had his hand in every single moment. Whatever happened was supposed to happen. The fact that this all happened during the weekend that my friends are coming to town, like having them there, having my parents being available to come down, my in-laws to be available to come down, all the people that were in place, the doula, the doctors, and it reminds me of his promise. Whatever he promises us, he's gonna fulfill it. His word will not return to him void. I just sit in the fact and feel a lot of peace in knowing that Brooklyn, my beautiful baby girl, she was supposed to be here, and she was gonna get here no matter how much it took, how much pain I had to go through, and anxiety I had to feel, but it was supposed to happen that way, and I'm blessed. The third takeaway, and this is for all the ladies who are pregnant, thinking about becoming pregnant, or just in general, especially with Black women's health, listen to your body, follow your instinct, follow your motherly instinct. If you're a first-time mom like me and you're pregnant, you have the motherly instinct already. Follow that. Be so connected to your baby and so aware of their routine, even in your womb, that you immediately know when something is wrong. If I hadn't known to count kicks, you know, that's one of the things they have you do later in your pregnancy. Count kicks, but not only count the kicks, understand when she's kicking the most. If I wasn't as in tune with her, I probably wouldn't have paid attention to the fact that she wasn't kicking as much. Don't second guess something. Don't spend a lot of time questioning it. Go to the hospital. You'd rather be safe than sorry. I would say another takeaway is that your village is everything. But most importantly, trust the timing of when things happen in your life, because God will position people in your life who will help you and support you in the exact way that you needed it. And the last takeaway, and one of the most proudest takeaways I would say for myself, is I realized and accepted the fact that I am resilient. Throughout my life, as I reflect, there have been various things that have happened and I just bounced back. And this was an experience for sure that, you know, was scary. It was unexpected. It could have went south very easily. Regardless, I'm resilient. I bounce back and I can do hard things. And I just cannot wait to guide my daughter through life as being a young Black girl, a Black woman, and teaching her that she can do hard things as well. Alright, so that's my birth story. Hopefully it made sense. Hopefully I didn't jump around too much. And if you're a mother, I'm interested in hearing a little bit more about your birth story. Were there any similarities to my birth story? Did you have something that was completely opposite happen to you? Just share what you experienced, if you feel comfortable, in the comment section. Share some encouraging words, just in the spirit of motherhood and motherhood community. Definitely want to hear from you and just open up that space for us to just engage as mothers, especially for me as a first-time mother. So yeah, let me know what you got to share with me. All right, here's Miss Brooklyn Rose. Say hi, Brooklyn. Say hi. Do you see yourself? Say hey, YouTube. Hey, YouTube family. Hi. My miracle baby. When she came out the womb, even after all that was going on, she was just like chilling, like she was just so happy and so thriving. Say hey. People say she's my twin. What y'all think? Look at the camera. Say, who's that pretty girl? Who's that pretty girl? Huh? Who's that pretty girl? That's me, mommy. I'm that pretty girl. Alright, I'm gonna let her go to sleep now, because if you know, you know. But that's all I have for you today. Thank you for tuning in and listening to my birth story and experience of getting this little one here. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask me. But until next time, bye. Say bye. Bye, YouTube. See, maybe you'll see more videos of me. I don't know. Bye.